What's it like to bring your baby or your little one along on your next cruise? Everything you need to know. Stay tuned. My special guest today is Tracey Mosser of Discovery Destination Travel Planning. Located in Ohio, Tracey has been meeting the needs of her clients in and around Ohio and across the country. Tracey is an expert in multi-generational travel planning for families. Hi, Tracey. Welcome back to RTE Travel Talk.
Hi, how are you?
Great to have you back with us. So, Tracey, I understand you recently traveled with a family group which actually included an eight-month-old baby. Now, I'm a little bit past that, but
I
I
thought I was
do,
too.
yeah, I do recognize that that's actually can be quite an undertaking traveling with an infant of that age. And so I was wondering today, for the benefit of our viewers and listeners, why don't you give us a little bit of background about where you went, what you do, and some of the preparations? How does that sound?
Yeah, sure.
So, where did we go?
So we were on a Royal Caribbean cruise. We cruised on the Harmony of the Seas. Full transparency, this cruise was actually booked before baby was ever even known about. So um, the cruise was booked a couple of years ago,
Yeah,
and then came baby. So, okay, it turned into very much a multi-generational cruise. We live in Ohio. We cruise out
right.
of Galveston, Texas. Lots of planning ahead of time that we did not anticipate.
I'm sure there was. Was there much planning? Did you fly down to Galveston?
We flew to Houston. If anyone's ever cruised out of Galveston, you're going to fly into Houston. You typically then would take a transfer to Galveston. Obviously, because we're flying with many family members and a baby, we flew in the day before the cruise. And we could have gone a few different routes for transfers down to Galveston. Ultimately, what we decided to do was rent a van, because with luggage and a stroller and a car seat and all the things that we were traveling with, and then when it came to baby food and just extras, things like that, we did not want to pack that with us in Ohio and fly it down. So we
Right.
chose to stop in Texas there. But yeah, we rented a van in Houston. We drove it down to Galveston to our hotel. We returned it the next morning before we got on the ship, and it worked out really well.
So I would expect that there's a fair amount of planning involved when it comes to taking a baby along on a trip like this. You mentioned a car seat, a stroller, all of that good stuff. Did you need to take all of that stuff on board the ship with you as well, or does the ship
We
provide
did.
some of this stuff? Oh, you did?
Yeah, so we
Okay.
took the car seat, the stroller. The ship provided a pack and play in the room that was arranged ahead of time, that was noted on the account. And most ships will do that. I will say it's something you definitely want to note ahead of time, because
Okay.
especially for a cruise line like Royal Caribbean, that there's such a large family focused cruise line, they have a limited supply of those pack and plays. So if it's something you can obviously bring your own, but if it's something you want the ship to provide, always put in that request ahead of time.
Right. So just don't wait to get on board the ship. If you're going to be traveling with a young one, and you need
Right.
such a thing from anything, probably that's probably great advice. Anything you need from the ship, make sure you arrange that well in advance before you
Right.
arrive. So did you have to bring your own baby food, formula, bottle warmer, etc.? What was the
We brought everything. What we did was we brought just enough to get us through our travel day, and then from getting from Houston down to Galveston. And then when we got down to Galveston, we got checked into our hotel, and then we actually ran to Target, and we just got everything we needed at Target. I will say, when it comes to traveling with baby, at home, you're kind of just going on a daily basis of what they need in terms of
Yeah.
formula in baby food, and even diapers and wipes and such. You just have your stash at home.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of hard to judge, okay, now if I were to pack up everything for a full week, how much do I need of everything?
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend packing more than less. Pull out what you think you're going to use for the time that you're traveling and pack a little more. We definitely, before the end of the cruise, we had ran out of baby food. We had ran out of diapers. Just keep in mind that they're in a new environment. They may be eating more. They may be eating a bit less. You may be opening, baby food that they may not be hungry and they may not end up eating it. And maybe that's going to get pitched or something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to think of. My suggestion would be definitely pack more than less at least when it comes to baby.
You definitely need to be thinking ahead, decide what you need for the X number of days. So if you happen to do run out, is the Royal Caribbean team there to help you with, is there a place to get extra diapers on board and wipes and that sort of thing?
You can purchase them on board. You're obviously going to pay a premium for them. We actually, our last stop of the cruise, or our last port stop, we just ran in there and got some diapers. We found a small little local store that we were able to run into. The price, I mean, you have to understand you're traveling, so the price kind of blew me away a bit, but you got to do what you got to do.
But it's one of those things, like if you need a diaper, you need a diaper.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying then is you really want to plan ahead and make sure that you take enough of your own supplies to last the voyage. There is stuff available on board if you run out, but as you said, you're gonna pay a premium, and even on shore, you're gonna pay a premium.
Right.
You mentioned that baby's schedule might have been off a little bit, or because it's a new environment, a new place to sleep. Did you find that much of an issue, or how did little one fare?
We got very lucky with her. She was so good. This was her first, obviously this was her first flight. This was her first time traveling. Yeah. We tried to basically plan for the worst, hope for the best. We certainly got the best. She was super good all the way around. She was very good on the flight. During the cruise, things like that, she was very good. In planning, we also knew that, if she were getting fussy, we weren't going to try to drag her along somewhere. Her getting fussy means that we knew that she was tired. We knew she was going to need to rest, and we were going to let her get her rest. This wasn't going to be one of those things that we were going to continue dragging her around on the ship if we knew that she was getting fussy about something. And there were 5 of us, 5 adults and the baby. So, we knew at any given time, if one of us needed to take her back to the room, then that's what we would do. And the others would just continue about, whatever they were doing.
At 8 months old, she would be on the lower end of the particular classes that Royal Caribbean has available to accommodate kids on board. How did you find their services on board when it came to, you mentioned like she gets fussy, but let's just say, for example, if you all want to go to the theater one night, did they have babysitting services, and do they accommodate an 8-month-old?
They have a nursery program for 6 to 36 months.
Okay.
The way that the nursery program works, and I will say we did not use the nursery program. We were kind of excited to just travel with her. We were looking forward to it. The nursery program, the way it's going to work out is if it's a program that somebody does want to take advantage of, as soon as you get on the ship, you're going to want to head to the nursery and you want to choose time slots. Now, for the actual nursery program, there is a charge for that, and they charge hourly.
Okay.
For that. So you're going to choose your time slots, what times you want. So that is some planning that people are going to have to do ahead of time. Maybe you want to have a date night and you want to have a nice dinner and you have already made your dinner reservation. So when you get on the ship, you're going to go straight to the nursery program, and maybe Wednesday you have a dinner reservation at 6:00. So maybe you want to do the nursery program from 5 to 8 or something like that. And then from there, after that first day that you board the ship, the time slots are going to be based on a first come, first served basis.
Okay. So those time slots is not really something that you can book in advance.
No.
You have to wait till you're on the ship?
That's correct.
Okay. And just so I'm clear, it's a nursery. You take baby to the nursery. The nursery doesn't come to baby. You don't have like babysitters actually come to your room.
Yes.
Yeah. Baby
That's
goes
correct.
to the nursery.
Another thing to keep in mind when it comes to those nurseries is that the size and the amenities of the nursery are going to be dependent on the ship that you're on.
Right.
Obviously, if you're on a smaller ship, that's going to be a smaller nursery. They may have more limited hours. We were on an Oasis class ship. So I'll be honest, I didn't even go look at the nursery, but I do know that on the Oasis class ships, and I believe on the Quantum class ships, in addition to the nursery, let's just say, for instance, you're not really interested in taking baby to nursery. However, you want to find a more baby intimate setting to take them to for play. On the Quantum and Oasis class ships, I believe it is, they have an open area at the nursery where you could just take the baby to. They have toys and things like that that are age appropriate. You just have to stay with them, or an adult in the party just has to stay with them.
Right. So it's like a common area, kind of like taking baby to the park.
Right.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. No, so you mentioned the theater. Is there places on board the ship where they actually restrict access to infants or kids of a certain age?
It's not going to be many. Adult only areas of the ship, the solarium, a comedy club, that would be adult only. Obviously, she's 8 months old, so she's not potty trained. She could not go in any of the pools. She could only go in the splash pad. So really just those areas like that, she couldn't go into.
So baby can accompany you to the main dining room. Baby can accompany you to the actual theater if you want. That can work out, and sometimes and not work out other times. I would expect.
Yeah.
What about the younger children and teens? Is there programs available for them as well?
They do have programs available for typically the age ranges are going to go from 3 to 5 years, 6 to 8 years, 9 to 11 years, and then they'll have a teen program. Those programs are all going to be age appropriate. They're all going to offer, different things in terms of, what activities and amenities and things like that they have. Royal Caribbean is just a very family-focused cruise line, especially if you're choosing one of the newer, larger ships.
Yep.
And I get that a lot of people don't really get excited for the mega ships. But if you're traveling as a family, especially a large multi-generational family, you're just never going to get bored. There's really a lot to do to keep kids of really all ages kind of going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to enjoy bedtime because they're going to be tuckered out.
Even the kid and old guys like me.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, they do a really great job of multi-generational, and I think your point about there's something there for everybody, be it kids, teens, young adults, parents, grandparents on the quantum class and the Oasis class in particular. There's something for everybody. Everybody's going to have a great time, and they have lots of choice, which is an important thing. Now, you were on a 7-day Caribbean, right?
We were on a 7-day Western Caribbean.
The ports that you visited, how did you get along with baby there? Like you mentioned that it was important for you to have baby experience everything. So how did that work out?
The ports we had were Honduras, Roatan, Honduras, Cozumel, and Costa Maya, Mexico. I will say the biggest struggle with ports was possibly the weather, just the heat. I think it's definitely something to plan for. In Roatan, in Honduras, we booked a private tour of the island. So that was really nice. We had a lot of time, some time in our private vehicle, which was air conditioned. I think probably the biggest challenge is getting in and out and in and out and in and out. So that would have been during her daytime nap time. And while she still did sleep, it was just sometimes an issue with getting her back in the car seat, putting her, out of the car seat, in the car seat, out of the car seat.
Right.
So I would do it again. I would definitely do the tour again. It's just something to plan on. In Cozumel, we actually did one of the beach clubs in Cozumel for the day. So we just reserved a spot at one of the beach clubs. We took her stroller with us that day. We had her in the stroller. Plenty of liquids. We actually did pack the little travel packs of Pedialyte. So we knew that, she was always staying hydrated. We always had that ready for her, and then in Costa Maya, we actually didn't have any tours planned and we kind of just walked around the cruise port.
So the advice is that, especially in the Caribbean, it's going to be hot and you want to plan ahead for that.
We cruised in February, end of February into March. Yeah, that especially when we're coming from Ohio, it's a change. It's a big change in temperature quickly for them, especially when they're young like that. So, prepare for that. Obviously, like I said, when it came to packing, your luggage can only weigh so much with the airline. So when now you're considering a baby and it's sunscreen and diaper wipes and baby food and formula. So that's why we chose to purchase all of that when we got down to Galveston. But those are the things you want to plan on too. weather. It's going to be hot. So be sure
Yeah.
that you're packing light clothing. But now, if you have light clothing for a baby, you want to make sure that you have enough sunscreen and
Yeah.
ways to keep them comfortable, maybe a little handheld fan that, can blow some fresh, maybe cooler air on them and things like that.
So traveling with an infant of that age, if I understand you correctly, you'd probably recommend for onshore excursions tours that doesn't involve a lot of getting in and getting out, so you're not strapping
Yeah,
young one into a baby seat. So
right.
you just you go once and you get in, you go to a destination, you stay there, and then it's just the trip back as
Yeah.
opposed to a tour. And then I think if I heard you correctly, a good option would be to consider private tours or small group tours so that you're not a
Yeah, I'm
whole bunch
typically
of
going to
people.
always suggest private tours in most destinations, and
Yeah.
especially if you're traveling as a larger family or a multi-generational family. When you consider the price of a small group tour, even if it is a small group tour, you're still going to be with other travelers you don't know. Look at the price
Yeah.
difference between what you're paying for each individual person in the small group tour as opposed to a private tour. It may be a little more, but the experience is going to be so much better.
Yeah.
More personalized experience. You're going to have your own driver, your own private driver, your own vehicle. You're not going to be at everybody else's pace. You're going to be at your own pace, especially if you have a baby like that. And I understand they're a baby and they're going to do what babies do, and they're going to,
Exactly.
they're going to fuss
Yeah.
and they're going to cry when
Yeah.
they want to.
Yeah.
But it's just something that you know that the tour you're on is a private tour that way.
Totally get where you're coming from,
Yeah.
because if it's a small private tour with just your family, right, and baby fusses, well,
Right.
everybody's going to understand. That's just the way it
Yes.
is. But if
Yes.
all of a sudden you feel that you're inconveniencing other people that might be
Yes.
along on
Yeah.
the tour, that makes you feel bad, and it's just not a good experience. And
Right.
you
And
know,
it's less likely to get you flustered and frustrated then,
no,
because
exactly. Yeah.
we've all been there. We've all been there
Oh yeah.
with, with babies and children, and it just makes us frustrated, which lessens the experience for
Yeah.
us. And the more
Yeah.
calm you can keep the parents and the grandparents,
Yeah.
the better.
No, totally get it. Totally get it. Now, is there a special fare for a child under 1 year old? Like,
Yeah,
how
so
does that work?
the way it's going to go with Royal Caribbean is if there are only two people in a room, no, you're not
Right.
getting any discount. My son and Gracelyn, who's my granddaughter, they shared a room. Now, if you have a room had Gracelyn been the third passenger in a room, then yes, under 12 years old, they can receive some type of discount. Sometimes they will run a kids sale free
Yes.
promotion.
Yeah.
Just know that those promotions and the third and fourth person discount in a room, it's going to vary on a number of different things. The ship, the time of year that you sail. If you're traveling at peak time, spring break or something like that, don't always expect much of a discount. In all honesty, it actually worked out better to have each individual room with a double occupancy rather than trying to fit more than two people in each room for us. The price worked out better. We actually paid less
Oh,
to
really?
have more rooms. Right.
So, Tracy, that actually kind of goes to the value of having an expert travel advisor, because you've got access to these group rates, where
Yes.
if people
Mm-hmm.
people just go online and try to do their own research for a multi-generational vacation, they're not going to get to take advantage of that. You've got that
Right.
special space available, so
That's correct. Yeah,
it's really worthwhile reaching out to your travel advisor.
it is.
Oh, fantastic. So going back to our young one, does the young one require a special passport or any special papers to come on board?
It's going to be the same identification as an adult. So it's the same as with flying for a baby. If you're flying to a different country, you're going to need a passport. Now, for cruises that are departing from the same U.S. port and returning to that same U.S. port,
Yep.
you can do an ID and a birth certificate. For baby, obviously, they're not going to have an ID, so a birth certificate is fine for them.
Right, but you're always going to want to check that out before.
Be sure of what you need. Passports are always suggested and recommended.
You've done a lot of cruises, but you've also done a lot of land and resort vacations for folks. If it came right down to it, which would you recommend for baby? Cruise, or does a land resort vacation do a better job?
I'm going to say they're both going to have a bit of disadvantages and a whole lot of advantages. I wouldn't necessarily say one is better than the other. It comes down to how inclusive do you want your vacation to be. I am actually headed to Cancun, Mexico with baby again in July. We'll do knock out 2 of the vacations in 1 year with her.
Well, that sounds great. Well,
Yeah.
Tracy, this is absolutely super information for families, especially those traveling with young children. Is there anything else you would advise before we wrap up?
Make sure that you're planning ahead. The other thing is, especially traveling as a large family or a multi-generational family, make plans for everybody to have their own time. Don't fall into that thinking that everybody needs to be together all day, every day. I promise you're getting sick of somebody and somebody is getting sick of you. Allow everyone to have their own time.
Yeah.
And then maybe we just meet up for the show, or we meet up for dinner, or let's meet by the pool at this time. When you're traveling with children of different ages, just know that the same thing with those kids. Allow them their own time. You cannot expect a 10-year-old to want to sit by your side while you have a 1-year-old child in the open area at the nursery and think that 10-year-old is not going to complain about that. Try to break up the time as much as possible. Allow them to have their own time.
Yeah.
Allow them to decide, you have 2 hours today and you get to choose what we're going to do for your 2 hours today. And it's all going to be about you. But, just to let you know, we have to go, we are going to take baby to this area and we're going to have that time with baby too.
Yeah.
So those are things to definitely plan ahead, book ahead. Because I promise everybody else with large families, they're booking ahead and they all want rooms next to each other. So don't think that booking your cruise 6 months out is booking ahead, because it's 100% not. And I promise, if you're cruising peak times, spring break, summertime when the kids are out of school, during the holidays, if you think we're finding connecting rooms or rooms next to each other for you, don't be surprised when we come back and say we can't find anything. It's just It's not available.
Keywords: think ahead, find time for each section of the family, and cruises are great for that. And contact your travel advisor. Now, speaking of that, if folks wanted to reach out to you, Tracy, about booking a multi-generational cruise or family vacation, what would be the best way for them to do that?
So I have a website, which is discoverydestinationstravel.com. Mm-hmm. They can reach out to me there. My email is tracym@cruiseandtravelexperts.com. And if they are on social media, they can find my business page on Facebook with the same name, Discovery Destinations Travel Planning.
Super. And I'll leave those links in the description for those folks that may want to reach out to you. Now, one of the things I love about this job that I do, getting to speak to all of these wonderful travel experts across the world, is I get to live vicariously through your travels. Now, I have to know, you mentioned it, but where are you off to next?
So next I'm off to Cancun, Mexico, and that is a work trip. I am then off to Jamaica. I will then be back to Cancun, Mexico with grandbaby, my daughter, my sister, and my niece. So that's a girls' trip. Later this year, this fall, I am on a celebrity cruise with my husband. And then in November, I am taking grandbaby down to Florida for Universal and Disney.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm interested to find out how grandbaby makes out in Cancun, so we'll have to have you back to regale us with your adventures in
July,
Cancun,
because the heat in Cancun in July is a little brutal. So we'll see how we do with that trip.
All right. Well, that sounds like a plan. All right. Well, with that, Tracy, I'm just going to wish you safe and happy travels on all your future cruises, vacations, and destinations. May the wind always be at your back, and I hope to see you on a Lido deck sometime soon.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
And that about wraps it up for today, folks. A very special thanks to my guest, Tracey Mosser of Discovery Destination Travel Planning. If you'd like to reach Tracey, I will leave her contact information in the description. If you'd like to reach out to us with a question or a suggestion for a future video, you can send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com. Visit our website, realtravelexperts.com, or simply leave a comment. We always respond. And as always, folks, if you enjoy this content, like, share, subscribe, and a ring of the bell is certainly appreciated and helps us to spread the word. So until next time, happy travels.